Welcome back to Champion News Talk Radio. We are brought to you by championnews.net. We are your choice for the conservative voice. If you haven't already done so, go to championnews.net and let's hear your voice. We have a survey. We'd like to know what you think of our show, what guests you liked, what guests you'd like to see on the show. This is for your listening pleasure, and we want to give you some good stuff that you want to do. Again, this is Ann Parisi. Our founder, Jack Roeser, and myself have Lennie Jarrett. And Lennie, before the break, we were talking about superintendents. Now, the name in itself, super. Are they that super? Or they're getting super pensions, I'm understanding?
They're getting super pensions, yes. There's just recently a story of one superintendent who did his time here in Illinois. He's now in Indiana. He's actually on his third run. So he's actually now making $1 million a year. 2 of those are from pensions.
Now, wait a second. He was a superintendent here in Illinois.
Superintendent here in Illinois, and he had another pension. I forgot right offhand what that was from. So he's making 2.
From Illinois pensions?
I believe some type of pension in Illinois. So it's 2 state pensions. And then he went to Illinois as a superintendent in Illinois, and his salary is now, so he's making $1 million a year.
Okay. Do you have his name?
Not right
address? Telephone number? Wait a second.
Certainly he has presided at a remarkably wonderful high-level education system, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Was he perhaps in charge in Chicago?
We need to get more information on this.
Yeah, it's out there. I'll research and make sure it's on Champion News for us so we can look at that.
Find out about the $1 Million Man on Champion News. Look for it on championnews.net.
More than that, people should realize another thing is that we've been on this job about the salaries and the pensions and the rotten tricks that the IEA union has spun off on the whole K-12 system of the state of Illinois. Yeah, we've been publishing that data right from the state, from the TRS, that's a teacher retirement system, the one place where they report the true facts, to be redundant. But that's the one place that comes out of, and it's as accurate as you can get anything from the state.
Yes.
And we've been publishing that for about 15 years.
On Champion News, and now there's a compilation of all of these pension stories in the Illinois Pension Scam book. And you could also go to championnews.net and get this. Yep. And this will be available this coming Thursday, too, at
Notice what it's about. This is about pensions. We've been publishing this information. We have ignited a national concern with the pension scam that's been going on all over the place within the education system. And our book and the 15 years we've had of publishing the outrageous financial things that are going on under the tutelage of the damned IEA union and the Democrats, they have really foisted, they've tapped out the parents and the children of the state of Illinois. They're getting a lousy education for a high price.
Well, you know, scam, that's so rash sounding. I have a question for you. This gentleman is getting 2 pensions. A married couple retires. Do you get 2 Social Securities? Or do you only get to pick one?
I believe with Social Security, you're picking one. So the one is reduced. But the retirement, with these retirement systems, both of them can get their own pension. They can both get their full TRS pension.
To make this thing even wackier, there's an awful, listen, being a teacher is a half-time job mostly, and it's a lifetime job. And it is. You can move close to your school with no chance of getting moved away because they only fire about 6 or 7 people a year in the whole state. So there's a lot of permanence to it. Also, there's a lot of teachers that marry teachers. And you could well have a couple of $100,000 a year pensions in the same family.
Easily.
And it's for the children.
The other thing that superintendents will do is they start consortiums that then sell services back to the school districts. There's an energy consortium I know of. There's a healthcare consortium. So superintendents are retiring. They're going to work, creating other entities that then sell services back to their school districts.
Sounds pretty free market to me, though. I mean, capitalism works. That's great, but this almost sounds like crony capitalism.
He's being generous calling them services. What they are is an excuse for making money. Well, whatever good. Who the hell ever heard of those services?
Yeah, it's no bid contract. They're using it for no bid bid contracts. That's the problem. It's all crony capitalism. It's insider baseball, because they're not bidding the contracts out anymore.
And this is all on the hard-working property taxpayer dollars.
Yes.
Let me extend this thing in another direction. I've been on this kick of chasing down the trouble in education for about 40 years. And I've laid off of how lousy it is for the kids, because there's something subjective about whether you want them to be brought up as nice socialists or whatever that they're doing with the schools. There can be a difference of opinion about how, but there can't be any difference of opinion about what they pay for salaries, pensions, for fixing roofs, putting up buildings, the various facilities that they've got. There can be no argument about that, because the things they're doing actually have no relationship to education. They are merely capital expenditures and various things. And I'll tell you what, I've got about 350,000 square feet of factories that were built over 100 years ago. I've got roofs that need fixing. And so I know a lot about the cost of roofs. And when it's my money, and anybody in business or a home, you can get your roof fixed for $3, $4, $5 a square foot. They pay typically $10 to $22 for the school roofs. They aren't getting anything better. They're just paying more for it. That goes for the buildings. It goes for everything they touch. This is the worst managed organization of any size in the whole state of Illinois. These are the worst operators. Now, they stink at what they've given the kids for an education. On the average, it's not very good. But on the business of operating this business, we've got the biggest lurch, stumble, and fall administrators in these highly dressed superintendents we got. Those guys aren't worth a nickel for running anything.
So on one hand, you have all your administrative costs. And then on the other hand, you have your actual function of what school is supposed to be, and that is supposed to teach children.
Exactly.
So we put
they flunk on both scores.
$16,000 per child, Jack?
That's the average in the state of Illinois.
Average $16,000. Are we getting high-level learners?
Let's just give them one more statistics. They've just passed a rule in Chicago that there should be 30 kids in a class. Well, in a lot of the state, they've got more like 23. Let's take the low end, and let's take times $16,000. You get something like $320,000 per classroom that they're hitting the taxpayers over the head to pay. $320,000 a year for one classroom that doesn't even have a lot of kids in it. If you had 30 kids, it gets $480,000 per classroom. You see what's happening here? The teacher is making probably somewhere in the range of
$75,000 a year.
Average, yeah. So that's a long ways from 300 and some, isn't it? I can get you 1,000 square feet. That'd be a lot for a classroom with a janitor, heat, cooling, everything done for you for about $10 a square foot, maybe 15. Call it 15. So we're up to say $70 plus 15 is $85,000. You don't need much supervision, because in every classroom is a fully degreed teacher, supposedly good at their arts. So you don't need a lot of stuff. You do need buses. It's damned hard to get to $100,000. You and I ought to go in this business, pal, because we're going to charge over $300,000 to the taxpayers to take care of a classroom of kids. And we're going to pocket, each of us going to pocket $100,000 just for having the idea.
Yeah.
Lennie, you're a big one in school choice.
Yes.
What do you have to say about some of this, what's going on? How could we do better? You know what? We need to do better for the kids, first of all.
We do.
For our children's future.
Exactly.
And that is also, Lennie, you have an organization.
Yes, for our children's future, where we're trying to help recruit and get fiscally conservative candidates to start running for local boards and actually starting to make these districts fiscally sustainable, because the money they're spending now is unsustainable. And if we want to protect our kids for the future, we better start making sure that happens now. We've got to start fixing it. The out-of-control spending has to stop. And it's happening at all levels.
Is it just the pensions in Illinois?
Well put.
No. It's not just the pensions.
Is that the biggest problem?
It is the biggest chunk right now. The prediction is within 2 years, the pension funds is going to force them to start reducing the money that's actually going to education so they can pay the pensions. So basically, we're going to pay more people to stay home.
They're well on the way to doing that right now.
Oh, they are. It's in 2 years, 2 more years.
Last year, Madigan floated $3.7 billion worth of bonds in order to pay the pensions, which this deficit is getting hugely bigger every year.
It's getting much bigger.
But there's $3.7 billion, and meanwhile, they got debts of roughly that size for people that are in conditions where they need seriously help, laying in beds or whatever.